Huwezi nidanganya kwa ile hali alikuwa ati aliendesha hiyo gari mpaka Naivasha. That one I refuse to accept. Nimekataa. Kuna wachunguzi wa kibinafsi ambao nilikuwa naona ripoti yao jana usiku, wanasema alipotoka pale alipokuwa Karen, mahali inaitwa Oasis, gari lake lilionekana Park Place. Park Place ni kando kidogo na mahali alipokuwa. Wachunguzi hao wanasema pia gari hilo lilipoonekana kwenye vyombo vya CCTV kule Naivasha, lilikuwa na watu wawili wameketi mbele. Nyuso hazionekani, lakini linaonyesha kuna watu wawili wameketi. So hakuwa peke yake. So mbona kwa ajali ambayo inasemekana ikaja alikuwa peke yake? Wachunguzi hawa wametuonyesha video hiyo mzuri kabisa ya CCTV. Na wasema si mnaona hapa, hili gari ni right hand drive. So hatuwezi kuona upande huo wa steering, lakini upande huu wa left ndio huyu mtu hapa. Kwa hivyo kulikuwa na watu wawili. So maswali haya, ingawaje wengine wanasema tusiyaulize, ninabudi nitauliza haya maswali. Because I know if this had happened to me, CJ would have asked on my behalf. So I will not keep quiet. All that the family is asking for, and as his closest friends, is that we want a thorough forensic investigation so that we can know exactly what happened to CJ. How did he find himself in Naivasha? He wasn't going to Naivasha. Hakuwa na mpango ya kwenda kwa Naivasha. Alipatikana namna gani Naivasha? Na hii teknolojia ya kisiasa ya CCTV, tracking of the phone, tunaweza ambiwa, wachunguzi watatuambia alipatikana namna gani. Did he drive himself? Was he driven there? Was he carjacked? I was one of the first people to get to Naivasha after Anne called me in the middle of the night. Akanieleza amepata simu kutoka kwa polisi ya kwamba ndugu yangu amepata ajali. Niliamka usiku wa manane, nikajiendesha, sikuwa na drive paka Naivasha. Nilikuwa mtu wa kwanza tukiwa na Anne kuona mwili. Na nilipokuwa nikielekea Naivasha, nilipita gari hilo mahali lilikuwa limefanya ajali, na hata nikasimama nikachukua video na mapicha. The car is extensively damaged. Nafikiria mumeona kwenye vyombo vya habari. But tulipotolewa mwili wa CJ kuangalia, CJ hana alama yoyote, hukujua uso iko sawa, huwezi jua ni mtu alitoka kwa hiyo gari. So the injuries to us, external injuries, are not consistent with that accident. To me, I am a layman. Niliutazama huo mwili vizuri, nikapata ndugu yangu alikuwa amevunjika miguu zote mbili huku chini kwenye ankles. Sio hata magoti ama shin, chini kabisa kwenye ankles, which to me was not consistent with that accident. Tunashindwa, labda aliteswa mahali, hatujui. We just want to know the truth. We don't want to speculate, I have said before, but we just want to know the truth. Only the investigative agencies can tell us the truth after that thorough forensic investigation. Ingine yote tutakuwa tuna speculate, and we don't want that. We don't want to implicate anybody. We just say we want to know the truth. what exactly happened to CJ. So tuko na huzuni. I didn't intend to speak here today, but nina machungu ndani ya roho yangu, nina machungu mazito. To the family, I told you in Nairobi, as CJ's friends and business associates, we will stand with you. Hatutawasahau, hatutawawacha. The visits we used to make will still be there. We will ensure, tukiwa hapa na Fred Amayo, ndugu yangu Philip Kisia, ensure that the projects that we were doing with CJ are concluded and they come to fruition so that they can benefit this family. That I will fight with all my sweat and blood. Tajaribu kadri ya uwezo wangu. So we are with you. We'll walk with you this journey until we lay him to rest. Fare thee well, my dear brother, my dear friend, my party leader, my best friend. May you rest in peace. We will keep your legacy intact. I will now invite Mheshimiwa Kipruto Kirwa, who is a member of our committee and comes from this region, who will invite our chairman, my co-chair, Mheshimiwa Mzee Gumo, and then he will also show us the leadership that has come to be with us. May the Lord be with you all. Asante. Mheshimiwa Kirwa.
Thank you. Wapi makofi ya Mheshimiwa Khaniri. Asante. Tunashukuru.
Kwanza Wakristo, ningependa kuwasalamia kwa jina la Yesu. Hamjambo. Jambo la pili, vile Mheshimiwa George Khaniri amezungumzia, hatujatoa shauku kwa mtu yeyote ama vyombo vya dola kwamba CJ kifo chake ilikuja kwa njia ambayo mpaka wa leo bado tunajiuliza. Ukiwapa nafasi tunakuita mwangale kwa maana pia mnafanana na mjomba wako na unazungumza kama yeye. Gawaja alikuwa mrefu kidogo kuliko wewe, lakini ni sawa. Eric, kuna watu wengi, lakini ningependa tuseme hivi, tutaenda Lumakanda and tutakuwa na service leo jioni na kesho the last service for Cyrus. Kwa hiyo ukipewa nafasi tujaribu tufupishe, ili tusiaje kiongozi ambaye atasema jana sikupewa nafasi kulia Jirongo. So kuanzia sasa ukiona nimesimama ujue kwamba utamatishe. Nasikia kuna viongozi wengi, lakini yafaa nimpe Philip aseme moja. Philip Kisia ambayo pia ameoa mtoto ya Mwangale. So that is your cousin brother. Yeah, thank you.
Hamjambo kanisa. Mirembe. Mirembe ja CJ. Mirembe. Muriho. Kabla sijaongea na nitaongea kwa dakika chache kwa sababu nimeandika mambo yangu. Ningependa msichana wa Mheshimiwa Elijah Wasike Mwangale atumie dakika 2 awasalimie. Yeye ndio mtoto wa pili wa Mheshimiwa Mwangale na yeye ni bibi yangu. So unaona hiyo urefu, hii si ya kubahatisha.
Good morning, good afternoon everybody. I stand here with a very heavy heart. Christine, Anne and the kids, pole sana. We were here with CJ in April after burying Lorraine, eating and living here, CJ driving to Nairobi. So it was very difficult for me to come back here today. I mourn a father, a brother, and a friend. More so, a father. CJ was my father's mentee and friend. There are very many similarities between my dad and CJ. CJ was generous to a fault. My father was generous to a fault. They'll give out and borrow to help the family. Or if you went to them with a problem and they didn't have money, they'll call someone to borrow to help you. And that was CJ and Elijah. CJ loved his family. My father loved his family. CJ loved his siblings, especially the sisters. Elijah loved his sisters. When my father died, CJ was very proud. And the other day I was thinking that if the committee had decided to do a harambe for CJ, no one will have showed up because CJ will have refused. When my dad died, CJ said, someone proposed a harambe and CJ said, no, we cannot do a harambe for Elijah. Elijah helped very many people, and what he did, he sat down and called each and every person he knew Elijah assisted, and for sure, we got money to bury my dad in a very decent way. And one thing I know CJ has done, he has stood with us. Even during Lorraine's funeral, I mentioned to him about what we are going through as a family, and he made time in Nairobi to meet me, Philip, and one of the lawyers to sort out our issue. So he was there. He stood with Rajab Waliaula's children, and I saw some of them in Nairobi. Please stand up and just wave if you are here, because he did. And yeah, he did. He stood. And Mheshimiwa Khaniri, you say you are going to stand with CJ family. And for sure, CJ will do it. If Philip was not here and if George was near, he'll stand with his family. So I pray that God rests CJ in eternal peace, but at the same time, let us have a big heart like CJ. He used to say he has big eyes, but I think he had a big heart, very big heart. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Asante sana Jacinta. Kwanza kama sijasema machache, ningependa kumshukuru Gavana wa Trans Nzoia, Gavana Natembeya kututengelezea pale nyumbani na pia kwa mchango wake. Na ameniambia kwamba hangeweza kufika hapa kwa sababu ya injury, ameumia. Pia ningependa kumtambua Gavana Baraza, ametusaidia sana kule Lumakanda, Gavana Otuoma na Gavana Lusaka na wengine wengi. Mimi ninasimama hapa kama rika la CJ. Ngolongolo. Kuna ngolongolo hapa kweli? Iko ngolongolo? Oh, kumbe ni mimi tu na CJ. Hao ndio waathiriki. Mimi ni rika yake. Ngolongolo. Ngolongolo ya kuranga, ya mberi. CJ alikuwa rafiki na ndugu wa karibu sana. Vile ndugu yangu Khaniri amesema, pia mimi na kijana anaitwa Ethan. Wiki moja kabla CJ hajakufa, walizungumza kwa simu kwa urefu. Akimuuliza CJ, wewe ulianza siasa na ulifunzwa siasa na babu yangu. Mbona hamjekuja kufanya hii maneno? CJ akacheka akamwambia, wanaume wataingia kwa stage January. Kwa vile wale wako pale ni wale wana dance tu, wanafanya practice. Lakini wanaume wataingia hiyo stage January. CJ, hiyo stage tutaingia January by force, by fire. By force, by fire. Tutaingia hiyo stage. That was your wish. CJ amenipatia mambo mengi ya kufanya, hasa kuhusu familia. Wakati mama alikufa, wakati Lorraine pia alituacha, wakati wa harusi na mambo mengi. CJ alikuwa ananiita na niambia, wewe ndugu yangu, simamia hili jambo. Kwa hivyo sisi tumetoka mbali sana. CJ alikutana na mzee Mwangale, tukakutana naye, akasaidiwa na shangazi yangu aliyekuwa director wa city planning hiyo miaka iliyopita. CJ akifanya biashara Nairobi. Watu wengi wamesema mambo kuhusu CJ. Mimi ninataka mmoja wenyu atoe file ambayo CJ ameingia kotini kuhusu ufisadi ama wizi. Nataka hiyo file kuiona. CJ ametengeneza mali kwa jasho. Kwa hivyo mimi na uchungu, watu wanafanya mambo mengine hapa na pale na kusema mambo ya CJ. Hiyo mkutano ambao tulikuwa tuwe nayo ilikuwa tuzungumze mambo ya Luhya unity na vile tutenda mbele. Mimi nitamalizia nikisema hivi. CJ, my brother, Ngolongolo. There are those who blocked your ways. They are here. Give us direction. CJ, my brother. There are those who mocked you. They are here. Give us direction. CJ, my brother. There are those who worked against our unity. You tried so hard to put the community together. CJ, give us direction. CJ, they are here crying crocodile tears. We can see you. CJ, my brother. CJ, my brother, give us direction.
Thank you. Asante sana Philip. Nasikia kuna principal wa Coseta Boys, Mr. Murunga, senior principal. Useme pole kwa jirani.
Kanisa letu, familia ya mheshimiwa mwenda zake Jirongo na wageni wote, Bwana asifiwe. Kwa majina naitwa Murunga Geoffrey, kwa niaba ya shule ya upili ya Coseta Boys ambayo Madam Christine ni debut board chair wa hiyo shule. Naleta rambirambi za shule nzima, wazazi, wanafunzi wengi na pia wakaaji majirani ambao tunafanya kazi pamoja na Madam Christine kwa familia hii, kwa kupoteza baba msimamizi, kiongozi. Mungu awape nguvu, awape amani, muweze kustahimili na muweze kuendelea mbele kama familia. Na kama board chair utasimama tu pale uwave, our board chair Dr. Namanda, you are there, Mr. Sifuna na board members wengine tuko hapa kusimama na wewe. Mungu awalinde. Asante.
Unasikia?
Mimi Mheshimiwa George Mang'oli aliyekuwa mbunge wa Webuye, mkaachi wa hapa Trans Nzoia, Chebukoyo Farm, nataka kuchukua nafasi hii ya kipekee kushukuru, kuleta rambirambi zangu na kushukuru familia ya Jirongo bila ilikuwa hapa. Mimi imenipa nguvu ya kwamba mtoto mmoja amesema hakuna sasa my mother, it is my mom. All of them now they are one. Waendelee hivyo hivyo, kwa sababu wakati huu ni mgumu sana. Wale ambao wamepoteza wale wazazi wao wanaujua. Lakini mimi kama rafiki ya Jirongo nilizungumza jana. Background yangu ya Jirongo ni ngumu. Picha ya Jirongo akija Makeso Chambers ndio hii ya nywele mingi. Hawa watoto na wamama hawakuwako. Mimi nikiwa nakutana Jirongo kule Makeso Chambers. Tukianzisha hii YK, tukiwa na Joe Mwangale, Kigen hiko hapa na wengi na huyo Rajab na hiyo watoto. Sijaona mtu binafsi ambaye anasema kwa siasa na afanye bila alisema. Cyrus alisema watoto wa Rajab watasomeshwa waende mpaka wamalize university zao, na alifanya hivyo, na alikuwa very close kama you Fred kwa Cyrus. Kwa hivyo nataka nimwambie tu mjue mwanzo ya hii YK si kwa rahisi. Ilipoanza kazi kuilaunch was the biggest problem because it internal rivalry, wale power success wanataka kuingia hiyo maneno, ikakuwa ngumu. Cyrus akasema tutaenda kulaunch YK Nandi. Akifika huko akapikwa mawe group yake, na walikuwa watoto wengi kushinda hata ambao wako hapo, wakapikwa mawe wakaenda. Kutoka hapo wakaenda elekee Marakwet, wakapikwa mawe na wanafanya kazi ya kulinda Moi. Cyrus akakuja kwangu Makeso Chambers, nikamwambia nilikuwa mbunge, si kama vile ninakuwa sasa aliyekuwa. Nilikuwa mbunge na nilikuwa na uwezo vile vile wa mfuko, si mambo ya kuzungumzia hapa bure. Nikamwambia Cyrus, we are going to launch YK whether they want it or not. Tuta launch kule Kandui. We launched YK in Kandui when they had been refused, because I know the divisions and the jostling in the government was being done. Kutoka kama tumelaunch hiyo YK, Cyrus akakuja akasema lazima now we have to launch a national. Tukaenda Nyayo Stadium. I gave Cyrus my own secretary in the campaign, Professor Chris Wanjala, kuandika speech hiyo na kwenda hapo. Kike nasema hii kama unajua. Hiyo ndio safari yangu na kwenda na Cyrus. Huyu mjamaa hakuna kama labda Yesu akuje. Hakuna mjamaa ambaye yuko as selfless like Cyrus. Watoto yake kama watakuwa kama huyu watakuwa masikini, kwa sababu yeye alipewa yote. Na sijui kama Biblia imesema sell everything and follow me. Maybe that's what Cyrus has done to us. He has sold everything and has followed Jesus. Kwa sababu sasa nawaja sisi kwa vale kusunguka. Mama wa Cyrus. At one time I was calling on something, but I can tell you where Cyrus is with you. And if anything happened to this Cyrus here, and we are as suspicious as we are, it may take many years, but I know politicians who are in parliament and went this route, but we have, at long last, we have discovered who did what they did. We shall know. Maybe our grandchildren will know who has done this. Khaniri has said it is not possible uwe na hiyo accident. Kitu moja ambaye mimi nataka mjue tu, ati klasi ya hiyo mbele ijafunjika kakipika Cyrus mkachakate. It can never be true. We shall ask the God in heaven, and since we have been told that Cyrus now in his spirit, please, Cyrus, beseech your position in that spirit. Let us know what has happened. Reveal it to us. Joseph, the son of Jacob, the dreaming man, dreamed until he was put in that place of what other people had to take him away. Cyrus, my brother, my sincere brother, there were 2 attempts to this man to kill him. At hiyo, unajua hii hoteli hii ya hapo karibu ya casino hapo katikati. Cyrus alipigwa masasi hapo. Huyu si ati mambo ni mkeni kwa Cyrus. Cyrus has gone through very difficult time. He was hunting, but he started being hunted. Kama vile I can tell my brother here, my young brother, Mheshimiwa Kirwa, the doctrine of being a politician. You must accept that you must be assassinated. We don't know whether it is assassination, but you must accept. The 3 doctrine. One is to be poor. Another one is wewe kuwekwa jela. Another one ni maisha yake ende namna hiyo. Sasa nataka nimalize nikiwaambia watoto wa Cyrus, as Khaniri has said, we shall not stop where we have said. We have a government in place. And what we want also to ask the government, there is nobody. I will only forget to say something about the president and this Cyrus. And it will haunt me. When Cyrus was the chairman, and one day after we have failed to launch, he was going to Kabarak, Julio Jambo told Cyrus that I have somebody here working with me, which I want, the boy is clever and very courageous, nataka mfanye naye kazi. Cyrus akamchukua, akaenda naye Kabarak. Siku hiyo ndio huyu president akakuwa identified by the president Moi, akamfanya mtoto yake, na akakuwa the only assistant minister ambaye alikuwa na attend cabinet affairs. Ni mwanzo ni huyu mtu ambaye amelala hapa. This is the man who made what the president today is. So let him not leave the children of Cyrus suffer because they want to take away his properties with the superstitious things which we don't know. Let them not do it when you are the president. I want to tell you because I know you. Let them, these children, not go beg. Can I sit down and wish this man to meet those people there and tell them, oh, Mheshimiwa Mangodo has been left on the street. Without Jirongo, it's not possible. Without Elijah Wasike Mangali, it's not possible. The man who was a patron of YK, the mama, the two are the one who made YK become YK. YK had been refused. God bless you.
Okay, unajua kwa matanga kila mtu analia style yake.
Sema mtanipatia heshima. The first speaker in that category, my brother Eugene Wamalwa, will be followed by Honorable Karua and Mzee wa Kazi, Emeritus AG Senator Wako. This time I'll not give you 1 hour, you have 2 minutes.
Our Mlamua and Christine Khaniri and Jirongos family, fellow mourners, the church, May I bring my condolences to the family, the condolences of my party, the Democratic Action Party of Kenya, to the UDP family that was led by our brother Cyrus Jirongo. We say pole to you for losing a father, for a friend, and a leader. Looking at the array of mourners here, you can tell that we are here to mourn not just a great son of the Mulembe nation, because he was a leader whose influence went beyond Western Kenya. Not just a great son of Kenya, and you can see he had friends from every corner of Kenya. You had Kikuyus, Luos, Kisis, Akambas, everybody from every corner of this country was a friend. And not just in Kenya, we've seen beyond Africa, East Africa actually, from Uganda to Sudan to Libya, and across the world, all the way from China. We are very, very grateful to have all of you here mourning this great son of Africa, the son of Kenya, the son of the Mulembe nation. For me, I knew Cyrus when I was a young man, just going to the university at the time. He was a very close friend of my late brother Mike Wamalwa, and he was also very close to the late Masinde Muliro. Talking about generosity of Cyrus, I saw it firsthand. I was told then that the richest Luya man was a man called Ambwere. But then I was told at that time, the richest man was no longer Ambwere. There's a young man who has come, and he's very rich, that he even has a certain note, 500 shilling note named after him. He's called Jirongo. And that he was a political genius and a mobilizer who was helping Moi face a very resurgent opposition. It was a first multi-party election, and this man was called Jirongo. I was very surprised that though he was in KANU and he was Moi's right-hand man, Jirongo still had friends across the political aisle. He would come and speak to my late brother. He would come and speak to Masinde Muliro. He was not actually limited by political boundaries. And this is how Jirongo lived his life. And that is why in this congregation, you could see people across the political aisle. He did not know any borders. In fact, if he was a doctor, he would have been one of those Medicinal Sans Frontiers, doctors without borders. He did not respect the border of tribe or religion or region. He cut across. And I would like us, particularly those of us who are from the Mulembe nation who are here today, if there is one thing we can pick from Cyrus, the greatest honor we can bestow upon this man is to fight for what he fought for most, Luya unity, the unity of the Mulembe nation. And in so doing, we must rise above our petty politics. We must remember the words of Abraham Lincoln, who said, though we are politicians, we are not enemies, we are competitors. And that though passions may strain the bonds of affection, they must not break because of politics. That is how Cyrus lived his life. He worked with the opposition, he worked with government, but he reached out to all to unite not just the Mulembe nation, but the greater Kenyan nation. So as we go forth, let us borrow a leaf from this leader from our region, and let us carry on the fight to ensure that, as Moses Kuria has said, the Luya Cinderella finds her beauty, and that beauty lies in the unity that Cyrus fought for. Lastly, we do know that Cyrus was a politician who spoke his mind, who spoke truth to power. In fact, he has left us at a time when we have the debate that has just started about the referendum, constitutional review, and my big sister Martha is here. She led, as the Minister for Justice, the constitutional review that led to the review of our constitution and the birth of the 2010 constitution. That conversation has just started because they have the debate of Singapore. This is the time we would have liked the dynamite voice of Cyrus Jirongo to contribute to this national discourse that is just starting. I'm sure Cyrus might have said, well, we tried this at Bomas, at NADCO, at BBI. But right now, probably he would question, is it really our top national priority, the constitutional amendments that we want to talk about, when half of Kenya is going hungry? 55% of this country do not celebrate Christmas. Families cannot put food on the table. Up north, from Garissa to Wajir to Mandera, people are starving, and we cannot feed these families. And here we are talking about Singapore. He would have asked, our health sector is in a mess. For the first time, Kenyatta National Hospital is about to collapse. Just like a 100-year-old hospital in Kakamega called St. Mary's Mission Hospital that has been there since the colonial times is collapsing because of the failed share policies. He would have questioned some of these things, and we will miss that dynamite voice that speaks truth to power. And we must carry on this fight, even in his absence. Thank you, and God bless you.
The family of the late friend and brother, Cyrus Jirongo, led by the widows, Anne, Christine, and Anne, and the entire Jirongo family and the people gathered here. We are here to honor a friend and a brother. I met Cyrus before he started, before his entry into politics. And in line with his character, he had come to the courts to bail out a friend, now a big shot in government. And in that process, because I too had gone to help that particular mutual friend, we got to know each other. Later, we were to meet in Parliament. He was in government, we were in the opposition, but that did not stop our collaboration. We've collaborated with Cyrus in many political seasons. Moses Kuria mentioned some of it in the runner-up to the 2022 elections. We were planning on collaborating moving forward. It's not going to stop. I say aluta continua. And I want to say something maybe that has not been mentioned. Cyrus had concerns about his safety. He was actually making arrangements to better secure himself. This accident came before that time. So those questions will linger. But for now, we stand with the family. We say farewell to a person who had a large heart, generous, who saw people for who they are, a person who not only loved the Mlembe nation, but humanity, and who always thought of how he could improve on what was there. So to those of us in the political category, let us carry on the work of improving Kenya. And because this is a journey, this is a process, not a short-term thing. Whatever we achieve in our times can be improved upon by the next. And let those who are in business carry on thinking big. He has gone before hitting it big. And I'm certain he was going to hit it big. So to his partners in business, carry on with his dreams and let his family reap the benefits. Rest in peace, Cyrus, till we meet again.
Senator wako.
Indeed, thank you very much. Today we have Moses Kuria, the former cabinet secretary in the Kenya Kwanza administration for the docket of investments, trade and industry. And also he was holding the position also as the cabinet secretary in charge of the public service. And later on as a senior advisor of President William Ruto in the current regime. And Mheshimiwa, welcome to KTN.
Thank you very much.
Where are we as a country? You were the senior advisor of President William Ruto on economic matters.
If you ask 10 people where we are economically, you will get 10 different answers. I think you've mixed up Kenyans with a lot of theory, a lot of talk, a lot of confusion. The only thing that is not in doubt is that Kenyans are broke. Yes, so there is no doubt that Kenyans are broke. As to what has made them broke, we'll have different explanations. But I think Kenyans are broke. What I can say is that looking back at the last 3 years, 23, 24, now 25, which is the full years of this government. True, because I was part of one. I was part of the team that prepared the plan, as we call it, the Manifesto for Kenya Kwanza. And I was part of the team, especially that, helped the president to take over, from the previous administration. It's a thankless job because things that the realities of the economy as it were then may not be visible to so many people. I mean, if you go to the streets of Kakamega or Muranga and you tell people about inflation, do they even know what is inflation?
Many do.
If you tell them that Kenya was defaulting on debt within 6 months, they do not know because we have always paid debt. So for them, the prospect of defaulting was not there. So a lot of things, the positive things that have happened within this administration may not be visible to the naked eye, if I would put it that way, because there are issues which are, may I say, too complicated, for the ordinary Kenyan. Be it about inflation, be it about the forex cover, be it about not defaulting on debt, but overall, and I think the government, if I were to give it, I would give it a C+ in terms of stabilizing the economy. Stabilizing the economy. But stabilizing the economy, people will say that's not what they have for breakfast. Where I give it a pathetic E is on something called ensuring that the money is circulating in the economy. I think for me that's a big problem, because a lot of people, yes, there are two sides of looking at the economy. There is what we call the economy and development. Development is what we are now used to. More roads, more houses, more railways, more, brick and mortar things that you can touch. But that's not the economy. The economy are things which, affect the common man. And that's why the issue of money supply or money circulating is very important. The other day I was talking to some people in Trans Nzoia. I told them, some government people, some accounting officers, and I told them that I've talked to a lot of people about this so-called Singapore journey. And what people are telling me about Singapore is that they want to go to Singapore, but they want fare. So ask that government to pay us spending bills, at least to pay the fare according to Singapore. It all speaks to those issues of ensuring money is in supply. And there ought to be fair balance. And that's the whole problem, that there's no balance. There's no balance between brick and mortar issues, housing. We have got 3 corners of a triangle. Brick and mortar, money in circulation, and of course, the social programs. Now, let's look at it this way. Infrastructure. After a lot of delay, we are now back to, doing the roads. We have figured out, I think that's commendable, if you ask me, on the infrastructure side. It's commendable, which I am the first person who, in January of 2023, authored a paper jointly with Jugun and Dongo called ABS, Asset-Backed Securities, to provide an alternative mechanism for financing our infrastructure. So when I hear my good friend Didi Nyoro attack, in fact, I would want him to ask me, because I was really the father of securitization. And I did not start in this government. In 2018, I was the vice chair of the Transport Committee in the National Assembly. And I moved amendment to the Roads Act to provide for use of money that is called for annuity to do securitization. because I traveled to America, I think in 2018-19, as a vice chair of the committee, and I had other junior members of my committee, including one, Rigathi Gachagua, who was my junior member, who traveled with me. And I discovered in that benchmarking that road contractors in the US are paid every Monday. So that when that guy now is paid, then he pays his workers, they pay their drivers, the drivers pay their housemates. So it's a whole chain of how money is supposed to, to circulate. So I think coming up with an alternative mechanism that is debt-free and that is not increasing taxation is a commendable thing. So on the issue of brick and mortar, I think this government may hack it. I think they will hack it. On social programs, and of course, social programs, is basically two that, three that make sense to the people: health, education, and social protection. Those are the three things that make sense to people. If you ask a common person in the village, they will tell you, wanangojea pesa ya wazee, or their pensioners, they want to have their money. They will tell you that they want to be treated in the hospitals, and they want, their children, educated. Those are the three things, social programs. Now, unfortunately, my friend, is that, again, that this government was not very lucky, because the way we go about our social programs is nothing but communism. It's communism. And it's not communism that came with this government. How can we have a bill, an invoice of 700 billion on education? Yeah? Kibaki came up with free primary education. The cost of free primary education in terms of capitation is somewhere in the region of 15 billion. If you look at the original 8 years. Now, Uhuru Kenyatta came up with free secondary education. The cost of free secondary education is somewhere in the region of 59 billion. 59 billion. So, and that's not negotiable. Because in this country, once you give something to Kenyans, you cannot take it back. So the same, squeezed coffers have to come up with money for free education. Now we're also sponsoring some people for health. Yeah. Now we have social protection for old people. We are subsidizing fertilizer. I mean, Karl Marx would be very happy with us if we come back, right? Because what we are doing is we are living a lie. I don't know what's the end game. Because once you give, you cannot take. But that makes now our fiscal space to be extremely limited. And before you even plan what to do, there are things you cannot negotiate. Of course, one, you cannot negotiate debt. Yeah? Do you know how much we are spending to pay debt? 1 trillion shillings, including interests on domestic debt. 750 billion on interest on domestic debt being paid to banks, mostly banks. Yeah? Because who holds the domestic debt? Who holds the treasury bills? Who holds the treasury bonds? See, these are the banks, mostly. That's not the way you cannot negotiate debt. You cannot negotiate, debt. Debt has to be paid. Out goes the debt, in comes payroll. Another 1 trillion. Yeah?
As you were serving as the economic advisor, senior economic advisor to President William Ruto, are these things that you raised with him?
Of course. Not even to raise, he knows. How do you raise what he knows? He knows you just spent the whole day in State House scratching your head. What are we going to do about this? And the rest of the Kenyans, they don't know what kind of a limited, leg room that you are facing. So you keep on now trying to look for solutions here, there. I am sure that there's some conversation with the Chinese about, extending our maturities, just to create some leg room. Sometimes when you do this one, you are caught between a rock and a hard place. Chinese want to do this, IMF want to do the other, World Bank want to do the other. So it becomes a whole conundrum of confusion. That's why I sometimes I look at people, some people who want to be president, and I just pity this country. I wish they know exactly what a complicated space we are in, right now.
How complicated is it?
Extremely complicated. Extremely complicated. Extremely complicated. and we need out-of-the-box solutions, completely out-of-the-box solutions. And those solutions have to be all about the economy growing. You know, people talk about managing debt or managing expenditure, managing that. That to me is not the solution. And that to me is my whole disappointment.
What is
It's about economic growth. It's about creating jobs. It's about, focusing on the productive sectors of the economy. Agriculture. Our agriculture must pay. It's not just about feeding ourselves. This thing of seeing our agriculture as a source of food. Yeah. Agriculture has to be, because 40% of our people depend on agriculture. So, yes. We have to industrialize.
With these major projects that we are seeing in the country, affordable housing, we are seeing roads being built, but yet again, the common Mwananchi does not have money in the pocket.
Precisely because the biggest problem we have with our huge projects, housing, roads, now we talk about SGR, the railway, is that they are removing money from the economy. Let's look at the payslip people. So the payslip guy loses money on NSSF, loses money now on SHA, loses money on housing levy, which is okay because those are going to be things which are justifiable. But the problem is, how is that money coming back? How is that money coming back? How many? It is not palpable. The coming back is not there. And that's what I'm saying. I talked about balance between how much money you take from the economy to what you give back to the economy. I wish we even borrow money to pay pending bills. Me, I would really understand. I would really understand if you borrow money to pay pending bills. Because that money will get into the economy much faster. There's something I used to do during I was in the budget committee for 10 years during Uhuru Kenyatta's time. There's something I used to do, and we used to agree with Uhuru Kenyatta as a committee. Every Christmas, like this one, we used to pay everybody owed 5 million shillings and below. They used to go for Christmas with money. One we were there, they used to take like 10 billion, 20 billion. My friend, sometimes I think, remember during the COVID year, 2021, we paid 60 billion through some bond for paying the road contractors, and we paid around 20-30 billion for the other SMEs. So we spent like 100 billion close to Christmas, and the political temperature in the country was coming down because there was a balance. It does not mean we are not building the expressway. It does not mean that we are not doing some major roads, Maus and all that kind of thing. But there was a balance between how much money you take from the people and how much money you give to the people. Because again, we talked about the burden for the payslip people like yourself. We have got 3 million people who are paying SHA for SHA. 3 million people. The same 3 million are the same ones paying pay as you want. These are the payslip people.
Yes.
Only 3 million. The same 3 million who are paying NSSF, which NSSF is now going to build the Rironi Mau Summit. So this burden is on 3 million people. So when we say we have got 28 million Kenyans on SHA, the ones from informal sector who are paying is only 500,000 maximum. So we have got 25 million people being paid for by 3 million people. How fair can that be? And how much can that take? So I was expecting that by now we'll be able to net more people to assist these 3 million people in carrying out the burden. But again, I attribute this to this. I attribute it to civil service. In fact, those people, I think they laugh at the president. Those civil servants there, they laugh at the president. Sorry for saying this, because I was part of that government. But, the level of ineptitude among the other cadres. You come from the president, some advisors there who know the route, wanajua Singapore iko wapi. So the rest of them are clueless.
So what needs to be done?
Yeah, the rest of them are clueless. We need to have a national conversation about where we are going and carry everybody with us. When we talk about a national convention, I really support to have a national convention. This country needs to speak to itself. This country, we can't, let's look at it this way. Now, Vision 2030 is, so we are getting into 2026 in another 4 days.
Yeah.
It's 4 years to go. So what happens after that? Ama 2030 ndio Singapore.
Maybe now we start.
Maybe it's
the Singapore journey.
Precisely. That Singapore journey cannot be personal. It can be another plan. It should be another plan. We should engage Kenyans to come up with a new plan. Because this one is, let me give you an example of a country I know which I've worked, and I've got a lot of relationships there. The Vision 2030 of Saudi is expiring 2030 like ours. They have already developed 2050.
A new plan.
A new plan. So that it's owned by the country. And some people argue that we don't need a plan because successive governments will come up with a plan. I mean, that's what in my language we call Madogodanyo. You can't have, this government come with, yes, you can come up with flavors of manifesto, but the whole trajectory of your long-term planning cannot be replaced by 5-year cycles that come with something as transient as elections, So we need to come up together, government, opposition, everybody. We discuss our new development plan.
The administration started with bottom-up.
Yes.
3 years ago.
Yes.
3 years into the administration, we have another narrative.
Yes.
That is the Singapore journey.
Yes.
Now, what happens to the bottom-up?
I think that's a good question. First of all, what is Singapore? What are the elements of Singapore? Do you understand?
I don't.
Me, I don't either. I've heard rumors. Me, I don't know. I don't know how we are going to Singapore. If you know, Jeff, you can tell me, because I don't know. I don't know what it is. I heard it's the National Infrastructure Fund. So if there's no National Infrastructure Fund, there's no Singapore. I heard about, this lack of clarity. You have to carry the country with you. You have to carry the country with you. Define, be understandable. Be easy to understand, because you're not leading yourself. Maybe something is, by the way, let me make you laugh. I ran for governor of Kiambu in 2022. I can share with you my posters. Do you know what was my slogan? Like Kiambu, like Singapore. 2022.
So what was your Singapore looking at?
Exactly. Let me tell you my Singapore, which I was looking at. Kiambu County is 2,500 square kilometers. Singapore is somewhere in the region of 800 square kilometers. Can you imagine? So the place Munataka tuende is a third of Kiambu. Forget about Kenya. In terms of size, it's a third of Kiambu. In terms of population, Kiambu is 2.4 million. Singapore is 6 million. Obviously, because a lot of people have moved because of. So I was saying the good things that Singapore has done can be replicated in a small place like Kiambu. It was just the best, a preferred place to live, where schools work, where healthcare works, where infrastructure work, where there's no traffic jam, where there's no pollution, so whereby people will come, the elite of South Sudan, of Ethiopia, of Tanzania can come and say, we want to live in Kiambu because it is the best place to live and bring up your family. That was a Kiambu, Singapore I wanted to bring in Kiambu. By the way, now you have taken it and blown it up to the level of Kenya, a country of 9 times the population of Singapore. Kenya is 9 times population of Singapore. Okay? And it is 6.5 times the GDP of Kenya. So now that you have adopted Kenya, you have denied me my model of Kiambu. Kiambu was closer to Singapore because it was closer in size, per population and everything. So Sasa, see now also then you tell us now how you are going to come from being a sixth of the GDP of Singapore, and because you are 9 times the population of Singapore, show me now how you are going to have, because the population of Singapore is the GDP of Singapore is 890 billion US dollars. Kenya is 130 billion US dollars. Now tell us now, then the ideal, if you go pro rata, for us to maintain the same level of per capita GDP, Kenya needs to be somewhere in the region of 2.7 trillion dollar population, which is almost the entire Africa. So we need to be understandable. Yeah, And we need to make this a Kenyan something. Yeah? Because you say, as we say, you are not going to go to Singapore in 5 years.
You're part of the team for the bottom-up economic model. Are we on course on what was intended to achieve?
I think bottom-up has been let down by poor execution. The thinking was good. Our thinking was very sound. When you have things like what I was trying to do within the industrial parks, abandoned all over the country, which better bottom up than ensuring a place called Sinoko in Kakamega, in the heart of Likuyani. Can you imagine how wonderful it would be to get people lining up for jobs in the morning in the village? Do you know how good it would have been to have people migrate from the urban area to the urban rural migration, because jobs are happening everywhere. Bottom up was good. But if you ask me, the elements of bottom up that have worked are minimal. They are minimal. And not because bottom up was bad, but because we have, gotten our eyes off the ball in terms of something called execution. And for me, I believe in something called my strategy is my execution. If you don't execute properly, strategy is meaningless. And even if we agree on getting the boarding passes for Singapore, if we approach it with the same kind of lackluster execution, like what I've seen on the bottom up, then, we are not heading anywhere.
There is another discussion, another debate that is coming up. And you started this debate in 2016 about a constitutional moment as a country. Have a referendum in the next general election together with the 6 ballots. We have a 7th ballot of a referendum. What justifies that?
Now we have got 15 years experience with this constitution. How has it served us? I used to have this discussion many times with Baba. I used to tell Baba, Baba, you are the father of devolution. Baba, you always saying that resources should follow function. You are for strengthening devolution. I agree. Are you also owning up to being the father of the corruption and the wastage that is in the counties? Yeah? Are our counties viable enough? Isn't that a question you should be able to take to Kenyans? Let us look at now the issue of the executive. Kibaki and Raila came up with a grand coalition government, which again was forced by circumstances. And Kenyans lost lives. Yeah? By the time that Uhuru Kenyatta is also now coming up with a handshake, more lives were lost. By the time we came up with NADCO, more lives had been lost. By the time we were going now to broad-based, Gen Z lives were lost. I mean, why do we keep on bandaging a wound that obviously is showing you that there's something about Kenyan society that need to be fixed fundamentally, not by cosmetic, cover-ups. That's what I call taking a Piriton instead of surgery. Because what is it? There must be a story. There must be some lesson it's telling us. It is telling us a story which we are refusing to listen. That we cannot keep on having artificial arrangements called broad-based, called handshakes, called grand coalitions. We must fix our constitution fundamentally, because it has shown, no matter, BBI was there also, I've forgotten that one. All these things are saying we need to have a deep breath. We breathe in and we breathe out. What do Kenyans want to see for them to be satisfied that the government is inclusive? Yeah? Because we used to say, no, those people want nusu mkate. Hakuna hata toast moja utapata. Hata moja. Serikali inakuja, ingine inakuja. No broad-based, no sharing, no power sharing, no nusu mkate, no whatever. That one comes. How come the reality has remained the same? It is speaking to the need for fundamental relook at our society and our constitution and aligning them together. I think people are saying, and we've been saying about this, what we call, my good friend Mutahi Ngunyi calls the Ferrari presidency, of having a president and a deputy president. Unfortunately, when we created the position of the prime cabinet secretary, it could have maybe given us a flavor of how a prime minister would look like. But I think you will agree with me, the PCS position appears only on paper. No, it is a K in a knife. It still sounds as a knife, whether you have it or you don't have it. you know. So, because again, you know, it is borrowed power. It is borrowed from the appointing authority. Yeah, the Prime Cabinet Secretary is, for all intents and purposes, the President of the Republic of Kenya. So, for us to have a meaningful balance where everybody will feel safe, that nobody is overbearing, I think we need to institutionalize the position of the Prime Minister, yeah, in the Constitution. And to fix the issue, you ask me what needs to be done. And I told you the biggest problem we have is execution. To fix the issue of execution, the Prime Minister needs to have, as I was there in the BBI, I think also in the Bombers draft, 2 deputy prime ministers with the distinct ministries assigned to them, or a class of ministries, so that we share this burden of execution. Because that's a problem that now happens, because everybody now knows, you know, there's a principle called what gets inspected gets done. A lot of people in this government only do what the president will check.
Everything else goes under.
Or everything goes under. When they know the president is now looking at health, agriculture people sleep. When they know he's looking at another direction, the other ones go to sleep. Yeah? And it's fundamentally because of the problem we have in this country, need to be shared. We have got huge problems in this country. From fixing agriculture to fixing jobs, to fixing our social systems, to fixing our justice, law and order. These are the huge issues. You know, we are now toying around with the e-government procurement. I went to Indonesia in 2023 to study the e-government procurement. In 2023, they did it, and you know, there are no tenders in Indonesia. For 95% of the common items government buys, there are no tenders.
Why does it look like it's being fought here in Kenya?
No, because what I'm saying, execution problem. And by the way, this EGP thing is a disaster if it is not resolved. Because can you imagine, and you saw the report the other day from Control of Budget, our absorption of the first half is less than 6%. So you might think that is good, government is saving money. After all, we are stopping the wastage. But that's a disaster in the waiting, because that can lead to recession. Because you know, government is one of the biggest spenders. So when you spend, and you know, there's nothing in sight. I talk to a lot of procuring entities, and I've shared this with you know, my brother, the PS for planning, and I've told him, PS, if you don't resolve the issues of e-government procurement within the first month of 2026, this economy will grind to a halt. Things are already bad enough. People don't have money. You can see what's happening with this Christmas. Now, if you don't, it's not by accident. Where do you expect people to get money for Christmas when government has not spent a single penny for 6 months other than paying salaries? How will people not be broke? To forget about even the pending bills and all those kind of things. This lacuna about e-government procurement is a disaster in the waiting, you know? So I just hope they'll do something on that, whatever. So I think EGP is a good thing. E-government procurement is a good thing. Executed not in the right way. And most importantly, even the people who are implementing, they don't know why they're implementing. That's what I'm saying. Kama tunaenda Singapore, tukae chini Uhuru Park, tuelezewe Singapore, how is the weather? Do we need to have warm clothing? Nigani, do we have first aid on the way? We need to have a conversation. Yeah, we can't tell people we go to Singapore without, what is this Singapore? Where are we going? Because even the people who are doing this e-government procurement, I can bet my one cow, they don't know why they are doing e-government procurement. They're just complying with some directive. And that's why I think we need to do a lot of work to carry the people with us and to educate the people with us.
Yeah. Shifting gears to the 2027 general election. We are fast approaching, less than 2 years now to the next general election. And there has been talk about the Mount Kenya region. You know, in the last general election, that is actually what propelled the Kenya Kwanza administration into power. And after the impeachment of the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, there has been talk that Mount Kenya is gone. From where you are seated, is it really gone? Or where is Mount Kenya currently in the 2027 political arithmetics?
There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger. It's latent. You can feel it. Some people say the anger came after the impeachment of the former Deputy President. I disagree. It was there. It came from very high hopes, which we built during our 2022 campaign platform. And it's normal. that when people have got very high expectation, you know, if they feel that their expectations are dashed, then they become angry. So I can tell you from where I sit, when I listen to leaders, they're telling me, no, the ground is changing. But when I listen to the people, I get a different story. So I know that you know, for the current government, 2022 is an uphill task. You know, 2027 is an uphill task. At least as far as Mount Kenya, the ground, the street, the Mount Kenya street is concerned. Of course, the UDA brigade are doing very well in terms of setting some hope and some, may I call it a spin about but in my opinion, I'm a realistic person. I'm a realistic person, and I know that the ground is a little bit slippery, you know, right now. Will that change? Will it be the same for the next 19 months? I think the jury is still out. I still think that this government can redeem itself. I still think
How
so.
so?
Well, if they focus on the things that I've said they are doing well on infrastructure. Infrastructure will not save them. Social programs can do something if they executed better. Execute education better, not those things we are hearing about capitation and all that kind of thing. Certainly do something radical about SHA. Yeah, something radical needs to be done about SHA. You know, and I'm saying this with all the goodwill, because, you know, even when I was an advisor, Jeff, you know, I became the goodwill ambassador for SHA.
Yes.
Because I really believe SHA is a good thing. I mean, you cannot compare with that madness that was NHIF. You cannot. I hear some people say that when if they get power, they can reverse SHA. I am totally opposed to that, because the fundamentals, the whole conceptual design of SHA is a good thing. Is it implemented in the right way? I'm not sure. But the biggest failure, of course, is on the issues of making the economy liquid. Mount Kenya are people who the SME culture is in their DNA. Yeah? Pesa Mfukoni is in their DNA. If this government does something on Pesa Mfukoni, it can redeem itself in Mount Kenya. But it's about Pesa Mfukoni. And Pesa Mfukoni has to have some very disciplined, you know, implementation and execution and follow up everything. It's focusing on those things that really put money in the people. Because if people are liquid, yeah, if you pay pending bills, if you focus on agriculture, on value addition, if you bring money that is not in this country, because what's happening now, money is changing hands from Moses Kuria's pocket to Jeff Kirui's pocket and back. We need something called, you know, to break the vicious cycle of, I would call it economic incest. You know, just money moving from one domestically. We need money from abroad through exports, you know, so that we get money we didn't have. This president program, which I fully support on labor mobility, because if you look at the countries of the north, and you know, when people hear about labor export, they think about Saudi or what. Do you know Germany? The economy is coming to halt. Japan is a disaster. Australia is in crisis because the economies are growing and the people are aging. The population of Germany and the population of Kenya is exactly the same, over 55, 58 million thereabout. But the demographic triangle is opposite, it's inverted. There are more old people in Germany, percentage-wise, as the same percentage of young people in this country. As a matter of fact, if you take the triangle of Germany and of Kenya, you form a perfect square. So we need that. We need to run a barter trade, an exchange program. They need to grow their economies. We need to get jobs for our people. So, and I hope really people can take this issue more seriously than just the kind of making fun of that particular issue, because it's one of the few, very few opportunities for this Pesa Mfukoni. Yeah, labor export, services, yeah, because we are a service country. Then now, another thing, and I think there I want to commend the president on the issue, how come every government has been coming, we say we have oil, we stop producing our oil, so our resource base is very low, and then they walk away. That now a Kenyan company, Gulf Energy, has gone back to Talo. For me, is something very good. Maybe that's our salvation. Maybe, who knows? I want to see the same on minerals. this country is very rich with minerals.
Ikolomani recently.
Yeah, Ikolomani, Mrima, in Taita Taveta, you know, Laikipia, a lot of limestone and all that kind of thing, you know. But you know, the political elite of this country since independence has been very selfish on the issue of minerals. Yeah, you don't want it. The other day I was saying, you know, when I was in government, I was challenging CS Mvurya was CS for mining then. Why can't we, Indonesians, because I was in charge of investment and I was in charge of foreign relations in terms of trade. So Indonesians came to me and the president, and they told me we can help you to map where the minerals are, because mining is all about precision in identification. You know, you cannot keep on mining the entire country for you to know where it is. You need to be more precise for it to make sense. So there's something called cadastre. That is, you know, a technical word for saying mapping where the minerals are. So Indonesians told me, we can help you develop the cadastre. And I said, no, we don't want to do that because they will know where they are so they can take advantage. Sasa hiyo
Then you'll never know as well.
You never know. You don't even have money to do it yourself. People come to help you, apana. You know, how are you helping yourself? So I hope this government, as part of Singapore journey, and because now we have established the Sovereign Wealth Fund, so the Sovereign Wealth Fund is there to receive two monies. Yeah, 2 monies, 3 monies, you know, privatization, yeah, minerals, that's mineral wealth and oil wealth, yeah. If we can do those 3, and then those become, maybe, if that is a Singapore, maybe, you see now I'm doing guesswork because I don't know.
No,
I'm more knowledgeable than ordinary person. Yes. So if me, former MP, former minister, former presidential advisor, I'm doing guesswork. What about the ordinary 190? How do they know hii basi ya nini ya Singapore inachukuliwa pahali ya Matunda bus ama nini pale Koja? Where is it inachukuliwa up? So we need to get our act in. Coming back to Mount Kenya region, I think if we focus on, people just want money in the pocket. That's simple. People are hungry. People are broke. You know, I saw some very pathetic thing. You know, this giving people sikuku.
It is happening across the country.
Across the country.
Yes.
What is happening? What I saw the deputy president do yesterday at a president Darakanidi, hiyo sio sikuku, that is relief food. That is like relief food. Those people are hungry.
It is an admission that they don't
have.
They
don't have food. Yeah. Not for sikuku. They don't have something to eat. Come on. When we go and parade people all over the country and we're giving them sikuku, are you asking them, is this sikuku for fun? The way we used to have chapatis and chicken on Christmas? Or these people don't have anything to cook. They wouldn't care even if you give them modokoi and githeri and whatever. They will still be grateful because people have nothing to eat. And I just hope that our leaders, you know, my fellow leaders, because I'm one of them, I don't want to absorb myself. I hope we can be able to really differentiate between those people who are hungry. They are totally hungry people, starving people, broke people. They are also mentally, you know, disturbed. When they hear about, you know, their children going back to school in January, they are not with you. It is not an expression of any political, you know, something. It really calls for introspection. And for us to know that today those people are coming to you for relief food. Tomorrow, when they have nothing to eat, they will eat us.
We have the dynamics about the former deputy president, now the party leader for DCP party. Is it going to be consequential, even in terms of President William Ruto defending his second term in office, considering that the Mount Kenya region was actually one of the biggest voting bloc for Ruto, who has now moved, so looking towards the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's basis?
Anybody who is telling you they are sure of what will happen in 2027 is a liar. It's a big fat lie. There are so many balls in the air.
But the head of state has come out to say, I don't have competition.
Well, that's what when somebody is going for war, they say, Nitaka chapa. You are imagining the other party also is going to have their hands tied. These things are dynamics that they will change. They will change. You know, first of all, we have not even defined the issues for 2027. What may be giving the president confidence is, I think his best prayers have been answered. When God gives you the kind of an opposition we have in this country, you can be tempted to celebrate. If you look at the opposition in terms of the structured opposition, I remember, see, we are getting now in 2026.
Yes.
See, uchaguzi is 2027. So I'm a student of history. Like Baba, we liked history. So compare with 2021. You know, I'm comparing it to what has happened in 2021. Because 2021 is the equivalent of 2026, 1 year before the election. So what was happening in 2021? Let's look back to history. So we started with a place called Msambweni, 15th of December, 2020. There was some election in Msambweni, another one in some MCAs here and there, including one in Muranga, which my party won for the first time, a place called Gaturi. And we have searched the then broad beast. What was it called? Handshake. We have said the handshake in Msambweni. Yeah. Higher. We came from Msambweni, then we moved to a place called Juja. Everybody gave up from the opposition that time, gave up on Juja. Juja is next door to President Uhuru Kenyatta, Jubilee, blah, blah, blah. So me, I decided, see, they have given up. My fellow colleagues in the opposition, I decided to give it a try. Help me. They didn't even help me, by the way. They didn't help me. I just saw people when I won. I turned like this, I saw the Jirongos. I said, hiya, you are here. The other side, I saw the Gashagwa. When we were at Mangu High School, not far from where we are, I won. That provided the impetus for us to go to Kiamba. And we won in Kiamba. Now we combine forces as a Tanga movement, as we were then called, the Hasra Nation, that particular time. So there was a lot of activity, which was press-ups. We were in the political gym for 2022. I am sure the signal is out from these by-elections. The ones which we have passed, including Bere, Malava, Magarini.
Which you accused, actually, Bere, you accused.
I will come to that, yeah, I will come to Bere. But I think some other rehearsal movement for 2022 will manifest itself. It will bring itself in 2026. Yeah. So the jury is still out. The president can get some solace, some comfort from how may I say how pathetic the opposition is. How pathetic it is. My friend, I've been in this game since Matiba 92. As a student in the University of Nairobi, I was in Marlborough House in campaign headquarters of Kennedy Matiba. I've been part of all multi-party elections. And how to win an election is not the way. You know, they say if it sounds like a duck and walks like a duck, then it's a duck. This duck called United Opposition is not how to win elections.
Are you rating them?
Oh, let me just give you some flavors. One, which coalition in Kenya is formed of many parties is formed years before an election? Kibage's NAC, NACRC, was formed in October for December election in 2002. Yeah, Kibage's PNU was 3 months in 2007. In 2012, the URP TNA, which won the election, was formed on December 4 when we went to Nakuru and Jivaji. Yeah, Afraha and Jivaji for a March election. Yeah, even Karonzo and Raila came together in December for a March for the election. Yeah, this 2022, we named our running mate in May. We formalized Akina Musalia coming to our side in April. Yeah, my friend, how can you have, some mongrel of parties? What do they share in common? What do they agree on? except must go, except one time. What do they agree on? How can you go public and say, we don't want a policy, we don't want a manifesto, the only manifesto we want is must go?
Must go.
You know, people listen, people take these things seriously. Oh, there must be a guy who was looking for solution. There must be somebody who really supports opposition, but they were there saying these people provide solution. And then tell them, as we have no solution, the only solution is Ruto must go. Can you imagine? And you go public, see, after that you feature. If that is what you call an opposition, God forbid, you can now understand why the president would have bravado. Yeah? But you know, there are two oppositions. There is a formal opposition, the one you see out there, the one I'm saying it's helpless, disorganized, clueless. Yeah? But there's also the people's opposition. And the problem with the people's opposition is like terrorist cells. They are called sleeper cells. They go under until the big hour comes, and then they come with some vengeance. So much as I am saying we have got a disorganized opposition, you know, an opposition which cannot win as currently constituted by any means. Also, do not also ignore the people's opposition, because these two are completely different animals. And remember, I've told you, I don't know about other regions. Within my region, the anger that is there, actually, it was always there before even Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. Actually, I think Rigathi Gachagua went to where the people were. It was not the other way around. He may want to claim otherwise, but that's the reality. The people had sort of moved because of the high expectations which they thought have been, you know, not been met at that particular time, which was normal in the mid-years. Mid-years are about dashed hopes. It is, no government is popular within the midterm. No government is popular within the midterm. So I'm really hoping that now, 2026, hapo ndio msema kweli, because 2026 is no longer mid-year. Ni kipindi cha lala salama. Yeah, 2026 is the year. Who ndio mwaka? 2026 is the year.
What is your prediction? You've made some in the past that have come to pass.
I think what will happen, Mount Kenya will cede all their rights. When Mount Kenya voted for the first time for a candidate of another tribe, 2022, it was a moment of joy. For us, it was a moment of pride. People accuse us of we can't support somebody else. For the first time, we proved people wrong by voting 4 million votes for William Ruto and 1 million plus votes for Raila Odinga. There was people like called Wahiga Maura and Maura Higa and all that. We left people from our community and we voted for people who are not from our community. I think we cleansed ourselves. Now, sadly, and I'm sure if you ask Rigathi Gachagua from where he sits, I'm sure he's regretting. This shares business will traumatize him for the rest of his life. And now, the biggest threat to Kikuyu leverage, Mount Kenya leverage, in 2027 is the stigma of shares. Because everybody will be looking at that opposition as currently considered saying,
what was shares?
Actually, you know what I say, and a friend of mine keeps telling me, the church can survive without angels, but not without a devil. You know, without a devil, even people who contribute iron sheets to the church, they will say there is no longer a business case. Turudishie mabati yetu tukajengee kuku. Yeah? So always the politics has a way of looking for a devil, for a bogeyman. Mount Kenya, we had a bogeyman called Baba for a long time. Even a fourth grade politician, failed politician, as long as you call Baba Kimondo, it was easy to, to get away with it. Now, sadly, for the rest of the country, this shares business will be the bogeyman. Yani huwa anafuata ule mtu wa shares. So sadly now, that will come as a stigma, which we had managed to wash ourselves from in 2022. And that's why I say people should be very careful, honestly speaking. And some people are even older than me. They're even older than the president. I mean, their actions are not commensurate with their age. May I say so? Because now, even my son will be branded shares people. Even, children who are being born, they will come up with that kind of stigma. So what will happen in 2027 is that Mount Kenya will again go back to cleansing itself of these reckless stigmas, like shares. And so, you know how they will cleanse themselves? They will say, we don't want president. We've had presidents before, we are still poor. We don't want deputy president. We even have one now, our situation is not much better. Even that prime, the one I'm calling the K in the knife, we don't want. We just want a country that works. So you can imagine, Jeff, because I'm estimating the Mount Kenya vote to be somewhere in the region of 6 million. 6 million will go to somebody, they can even be the president or the opposition, without being divided. One, I say, what do you want? You have given me 6 million, what do you want? Nothing. What do you mean nothing? You don't want to be president? Apana, hatutaki. You don't want deputy? Hatutaki. You don't want a prime? We don't want. You guys go mujipange. Go and form a coalition there. Whoever you want to form coalition. Once you agree, come to us. We have got our 6 million. That is the price that Mount Kenya would pay for us to return our leverage, our bargaining power, our competitiveness, to have our voice back, is whereby people will say, if we divide this vote, if we divide this vote, it will be inconsequential. So that's not a small factor. And that's my biggest prediction, that Kikuyus will cede. They will cede. They will defer their claims to anything and say, we'll sit down, make a decision, point to one direction, look at what is in our best interest. And the best interest is not about positions. It's about the economy. After, it's about money in the pocket. It's about policies. That's why I shake my head when I hear some people say, we don't want to talk about manifesto and policy. It is the same people you are telling that they will turn against you. Because they're saying now, because we don't want positions. You might remove one person, you put another. And you will say, you remove someone, you might remove a crook and put a dimwit.
Now, there are people who are actually pushing for that narrative to break the Mount Kenya region. And some are actually in the government. We've had a cabinet secretary saying that they are now pushing for the Mount Kenya East to secede from the Mount Kenya West.
I don't know why people are surprised. It's not new. In 2007, Kibaki didn't have that problem. But the young people were planning to secede. The Mount Kenya youth were planning to secede in 2007. I remember I was in that campaign. We did a lot of work to convince them to stay in the fold. In 2013 and 2017, Meru was always going. It was always a story. I remember in 2017, Baba went to Meru 17 times. He still didn't get any vote. You remember, he didn't even get any meaningful votes. So it's something that comes and goes. But at the end of the day, when the big hour comes, it's not something for leaders to say. It's not something that leaders can tell you, divide the mountain. See, ati kitu unakuja na shoka ati unakata mlima. A lot of incitement has been tried before. It doesn't bother me. You've not even heard me comment about that division. Because I know I've seen it before. And we can talk now about the by-elections and Berry. I know they are buoyed by where we are coming from in terms of the by-election. But that was a very complicated by-election.
How so?
One, because of cronyism. Cronyism played a major factor. Two, of course, there was a lot of voter bribery. From both sides, to those people. Of course, you need to say that you did what they did. Everybody knows what they did. What you don't know is that the opposition side, they had possession of what they were calling adopters. So people who are looking mostly for the DCP ticket, they went there. We had 106 adopters. DCP had 106 adopters. And the condition is that you have to carry money. 500,000 shillings minimum. 500,000. On average. Of course, some of them were big to you. That's a big polling station, 1 million. So they had a big force. And they had big money. So big money and a big force. And I was alone. I think I was the winner of that election for all intents and purposes. Alone, me and my candidate.
They say you were sent there to split the votes.
I wish they tell me, this guy has to make up his mind. Mara, the votes were stolen. Mara, there was violence. Mara, there was voter bribery. Mara, it's me. And you know, my party was formed on 17th of August 2021. What did I form a party for? For operating a butchery? Yeah? I thought the business of parties is to win elections and to sponsor candidates. There's no other business of parties. Honestly speaking, how can you fault me? How can you fault my party for doing what it's supposed to do? I went around the country opening branches all over to say I am going to front candidates. And then when I front, I've been sent. Number two, did he ever call me to tell me don't front a candidate? Let's work together. Did he even call me? Yeah? He dropped a candidate, a very good candidate, because someone who got without money, we didn't have money like the other people, to get 2,500 votes. And it's only me and my candidate. This other side, they are a whole multitude. This other side, it was a tyranny of money. And, you know, katikati hapo, between 2,500, I think his pain was because he lost with only 400 votes. And in his calculation, I don't know where he did the opinion poll, the votes that came to my candidate would have gone to his candidate, and maybe his candidate would, maybe that's a matter of conjecture. But then again, you know, the other day, the guy Gachagua came on KTN, and 2 times. One, he said, William Ruto fired Moses Kuria, the best minister of trade Kenya has ever had. He's a very bright fellow. How can you remove Moses Kuria and you replace with Kabogo? That's a sick joke. The other one, oh, Moses Kuria, there's no difference between Moses Kuria and William Ruto. He's a Hurubaro. This guy is confused. He's confused. He's sort of, you know, Rigathi Gachagua can only bamboozle people who don't know him. No, but not me.
You know him well.
I know him very well.
You campaigned for
him. I campaigned for him in 2017. That time I was the in thing within this Mount Kenya region. And then now, of course, he got elected. He came to parliament. I became his boss. I was the chair of the transport committee. He was a normal member. I held his hand. I took him to offices, especially on roads. Every other road, barabara yote, you see in Madeira, I have got a hand on it. Be it some road there called Slaughterhouse, Karatina University, the road that goes to his home. I showed him this is how. Ask Engineer Kimeli, who was a DG Kera, who is now the DG Kenya, acting DG Kenya. I took Rigathi Gachagua there. I showed him this is how budget is managed, because I was both in the vice chair of the transport, but I was also a ranking member of the budget committee for the second time. So I taught him a lot of things along the way, and we were very good because, you know, we were going very well. I think problem started after there's a time I had a problem with Uhuru Kenyatta when I came to Thika, and I said that Uhuru Kenyatta is not helping Mount Kenya region, and that became very popular. I think I didn't know that Rigathi Gachagua had a problem with my popularity, that he was actually salivating for it. I think he managed to hide it very well. Around 2020, I was hospitalized during COVID.
Yes.
And Rigathi Gachagua, like many leaders, came to see me. That time I talking about, you know, if you guys support me, back me up. In 2020, 2021, again, we had the same conversation. But I think and then of course, he didn't support me in Juja at all. He only came when I won. Yeah, during Mangu Tarring Center, Mangu High School Tarring Center. Then we moved to Kiambaa, and we had a major disagreement on Kiambaa, because I discovered he was doing everything possible to cover my role, to cover the role I did in Juja and then Kiambaa. I think my influence was sort of a threat to him. So we had major disagreement during Kawanjiku's by-election. And you can ask Kawanjiku or ask the people, because William Ruto, because it was a very close election, he wanted someone who had experience of winning. I had won only some few months back. So he told me, you know, come and manage this election. And he put me on top of the 5 guys who he had put in charge of the wards: Kimani Ichung'wah, Ndindi Nyoro, Irungu Kang'ata, Rigathi Gachagua, and George Khaniri, GK, MB for Ndia. And from that time I saw Rigathi trying to wipe out my whatever, my influence within our movement. And then after, as fate would have it, I got sick after that. I went for treatment abroad, and of course he took advantage to entrench himself and to turn the entire Mount Kenya leadership. When I came back, I saw people who are my friends are now enemies. Yeah, I saw people who are my friends now become totally enemies. He mobilized people against me. I became like an isolated person. And then I committed to him a mistake because I refused to fold my party. He went all over saying, whoever is not in UDA is not with us. He decampaigned me. He mobilized the entire Kiambu leadership, including Ishongwa, to decampaign against me and my... The UDA he's saying now is bad. He made me suffer because of it. And me, God forbid, I will never be a double-speak person. He went decampaigning against me because I have a party. Kabogo, Kiunjuri, Madarua, we had parties within the mountain. And he said, the party is on the UDA. I said, no. I remember even I told William Ruto, we are friends and we are very good friends, but we remain friends. But on the issue of the party, I beg to differ. I think the best sustainable friendship is, let's go, organize our region, come with the party, organize your region, come with the party. The kind of strong bond you had with Uhuru Kenyatta, URP-TNA, is what we need to have sustainable friendship where people respect each other and they respect the range. The person who was the key person in fighting against me just because of the party was Rigathi Gachagua. Anyway, as fate would have it, we said, anyway, we have to win an election. So we found a way of working together because we have to. For us, William Ruto winning 2022 was a matter of life and death. It was existential because we had burned the bridges with Uhuru Kenyatta. Now comes cabinet formation. So we met at White Sands in Mombasa in the morning. We had a breakfast meeting. We had agreed to meet. How are we forming this government that we worked hard to look for? He told me, you know, maneno yako ni gumu. I said, why? William Ruto has said the best he can give you is an advisor. I have tried to convince him to make you a cabinet minister, but he made an namna hiyo. So me, I gave up. See, I gave up to faith. What can you do? So I said, if William Ruto want to betray me, and people are against Rigathi Gachagua was election as a running mate. So what people don't know is that age, more than any other factor, was the reason William Ruto picked Rigathi Gachagua. It was purely age. That he wanted someone to make Kikuyus relax. Amechukua not a kijana, but what Kikuyus call mudhuri. You know, mzee wa boma. That was the most compelling factor for William, not all those other factors. If it was campaigning, Jirongos and I could campaign better. We could. Jirongos and I, by nature, was lethal because we knew the language of the crowd there, you know. So, be as it may, the cabinet was then named, and I was sitting there like waiting to see who are those lucky people. And then my name is named as cabinet secretary, investment, trade, and industry. Then a few days later, I went and, I had made some noise here and there. So I went to thank William, went to State House to thank William. Of course, now we are in the vetting period. So I went to see him, me and him. I told him, Your Excellency, I want to thank you for this opportunity. To be honest, so he asked me, were you expecting? I said, no, but I had been told that you refused. I said, by who? By Rigathi Gachagua. The one who was telling me not to appoint you. Huh? So he was telling William not to appoint me, and then he comes and tells me he wanted me appointed. The one who was refusing was William. Huh? Anyway, I just said, if God puts you there, don't drive the car with a rear mirror. Here I am now, I'm a cabinet secretary. Mine is to do the best I can and to shame everyone by performing, which is exactly what I set out to do. Because I knew the deficit of trust that people like Rigathi had on me. I knew there was no way for me except to outperform everyone. Now we come to cabinet. My CEOs. I had 20 CEOs reporting to me. The ones who are directly reporting to the the one I appointed by my hand. Yeah. So he would call a CEO or a chairman. Mostly the chairman, either I'm the appointing authority or the president is appointing authority. So one time, it was Easter of 2023, he called the chairman, the then chairman, a guy called Jeremiah Kinyua, chairman of KEBS, and he found the CEO sitting there, and he gave him addressing down. You are here, you are the one supporting your minister. He's going all. That time, the president had appointed me as a special envoy to meet 15 presidents. You saw me going all over Egypt. And you know, when you go there, you don't go as a minister. When you go as a presidential envoy, you are received by state protocol. You are president.
Yes.
When I go to Uganda, I am equal to Museveni. It's the only time I acted for 1 month as a president. You know, when I go to Egypt, I'm equal to President Sisi. So I think it was not going very well with the Rigathi Gachagua. So he called he found out that my logistics were being organized by one of my parastatals, Kenya Bureau of Standards. And he called them and gave them a dressing down. So this guy, whom he later removed, he told me, I'm going to remove you, which he did. He carried out his threat. He removed this guy after only 4 months as the chairman of KEBS, after warning him. And he told him, look, if you don't stop supporting, facilitating Moses Kuria, he's going all over the country, lounging, I don't know, industrial park. He's going all over Africa, pretending to be a fellow president to the other president. He made my life impossible. And all I was trying to do is to work for my country.
Your removal from cabinet.
My removal from cabinet. He had a hand in it.
How?
He had a hand in it. He had a hand in it. When they sat down, when they reconstituting parliament, cabinet, he told William Ruto, anybody else from the mountain except him. Can I give you the proof? He went around the mountain after that, after the reshuffle, after the cabinet was dissolved. I was dropped, and then new people came in. And then he said, Mount Kenya, we got exactly the same number of positions that we had before, and I'm satisfied. It's on record. You guys in the media, you know that. Meaning, for me, it was not an issue. He didn't have an issue with me being removed because he had had in it. But anyway, let me not blame him because the constitution is very clear about the appointing authority. But you know, there are some dynamics and things that happen. I don't want to, I found my peace, Jeff. I don't want to look backwards. I'm not bitter. Then now, after a few months advisor, as an advisor to the president, I thought of, I am better off for my own conscience looking at these things from far, and I wanted to look at this country from, especially after Sabasaba. I went to the president, I told him, look, do you know I resigned on the 8th of July, one day after Sabasaba. I went to the president and we spent the whole day with him. I had a good time in State House. In the evening, I took him my resignation letter. I told him, when I asked government people, security people, because I have a very good name within the security sector. A lot of people in the ground, in Nyeri, this region, they told me what was happening. So government people told me it was the opposition which was behind some of those, like those supermarket, Magunas, county, and all that. I asked government people, opposition people, they told me it's government. So I told the president, in a situation whereby people know me as pro-business, my community looks up to me for some things, especially business community. They're asking me questions which I have no answer because these ones are telling me it's government, these ones are in position. So for me to be able to see things from a more balanced eye and to be able to offer an intelligent, informed answer to my people, especially the business people who are, the backbone of my community, allow me to, resign as your advisor. We remain friends, and sina ubaya na wewe, nothing to do with you. Let me, at least, I think I need to start for country for once, away from all these maneras going on. Then now, Rigathi Gachagua goes saying that I am Kasongo's Urbaru, I am this, I am that. When I'm in government, you are frustrating me. When I resign, you are frustrating me. When I have a candidate in Bere, I have split your vote. Actually, what I believe. Because I also talk to, I have friends. I talk to people in the opposition. I talk to them, my friend, It is the most miserable marriage they have there. All of them complain. All of them complain.
In the opposition.
Oh yeah, I think William Ruto's chief campaigner for 2027 is Rigathi Gachagua. As long as Rigathi Gachagua is calling shots within the opposition, William Ruto can sit pretty. How he manages the coalition, how he brands everybody. Moses Kuria is Kasongo's Uhuru Baru. Uhuru Kenyatta is Jubilee is Uhuru Baru Red. I don't know who is who. This one is like this one. He is the only good person. He is the only good person on earth. Everybody else is to be branded. Everybody else is bad. You know, how can you work with someone like that? So he can continue blaming me for his cow, which did not, succeed in artificial insemination. He can blame me for anything. For me, I am at peace, and my people, I take solace from the fact that I can go to the public, and the public has no problem with me. I'll continue playing my role in making this society better in whatever way I can.
As we wrap up, the broad-based union, ODM and UDA party, what do you make of it?
To be honest with you, the broad-based has served its purpose. It has done good for this country. I remember on 26th of June 2024, the day after Gen Z, William Ruto called a few of us in the morning to see whether he will sign the finance bill or not. We are not many. We are myself, Jirongos, Duare, Murkomen, Kidiki, very few people. Of course, Rigathi was not there because he was in Mombasa doing his own thing. And he asked us, do I sign or not sign? What I didn't know is that throughout the night there was some other team which was there, which had concluded that he can sign the finance bill. So I was the only one who was not in the night meeting. So only me had a fresh view. And for me, there was no doubt in my mind. So I told the president 3 things. Number 1, you cannot sign this bill. You cannot sign this bill because that is Rigathi Gachagua sabotaging you from one side, Gen Z or the other. Do you want to combine, and some other forces, I don't want to mention other people, who are working towards, do you want to combine all those forces together? Do you want to give them an excuse to now come together and ban the country? Yeah, that's number 1. Number 2, you have to restructure government. What happened yesterday? It's like a vote of no confidence. Yeah. So you have to restructure government somehow. Number 3, you have to re-engineer our politics. Those 3 things. So everybody was in that meeting was like this. So what do you mean? I asked me, what do you mean by re-engineering politics? I told him, you have to form a government of national unity. These are movements, I have seen them. These are movements in other countries which you to have a country or a government. For me, I would rather we don't have a government and we have a country. Yeah. So many things happened. Of course, he did exactly what I told him. He didn't sign the bill. He dissolved the cabinet, and then he reached out to open. That time, even as the riots were going on, Baba was not convinced. Baba was not convinced. But I was convinced. I was convinced. I remember that even Jirongos was so much vehemently opposed to me. No, we can't go to that direction. We bring in Baba now, think to government again. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. So, William asked me one question. Don't you think this unity government you're talking about may cost you even your seat, your cabinet seat? I told him, who is me compared to a country? I told him, what about those ministers? I hear they were running in the rivers. Was it in which country was it? It was a country where the ministers were running away from the crowds. I told him, maybe I'm safer. Maybe it's safer for me. Then he told me, He called me another time. Now to inform me he will not reappoint me to cabinet because of some dynamics. He asked me, now that you know that you will not be in cabinet, do you still support me on that line? I told him yes. And to prove it, he told me, you know, those are your people. You know them better. By the way, I can now tell the nation, way before broad-based, I used to have problems with William Ruto because of my closeness with Baba.
Really?
Not once. I remember one time we were planting trees, and we were told every minute I pick 2 counties. My favorite counties to pick always was Kisumu and Siaya. You know, you will go back to record. I was one who was leading the tree planting in Kombewa in Kisumu and Nini. You know, some place in Nyakach. No, in Nyakach. There was some forest there in Nyakach and in Siaya. And I remember he told me, Kwani, those are the only places you can plant trees. I suffered. I remember when I was launching the industrial park in Siaya, in Alego. I had huge problems because I was supposed to say, no, don't go there. First of all, go to Mount Kenya or Rift Valley because our base will start making noise.
Yeah.
So, I hope you are good.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
So, I had problems because for me, I was broad-based from day one. I'm not hiding. I was broad-based from day one because of shares thing. Actually, other than my friendship with Baba, that shares thing moved me because I was saying, now, how will my community explain itself one day? Yeah? Because this is reckless. I saw this is reckless. It will cost us one day. So I thought, because me, I'm also from Mount Kenya, and I fairly senior person, let me go to those people who are being affected by the shares thing, try to do things, launching industrial parks, doing things, at least to balance it off. So I told the president, I will help you. He told me Baba is not convinced, totally. So I told him I will convince him. Pick my phone, ask Opio and I. I told Opio and I, you guys cannot fail to come to government. Opio and I asked me, and we want to ask him. But I hope Moses will be there. We don't trust those people. You in that cabinet, you are the only one we trust. Now, if you not be there, who will be showing us the Opio and I. I called John Bud. You guys have to join government. I called Junet. Ask those 3 on phone. The 4th one I could not call on phone because of my respect. So I called youth leader, sort of offer, Oburu Odinga. I called him. We said, let's have lunch. So we had lunch, the Serena. And I told him, you know, there comes a time that, you know, the country has to be really, you know, bigger than all of us. So me, I'm thinking, I have put my finger to where the country is. We need to stabilize the nation. At least we need to fight another day. So he told me the only problem is that Baba is not convinced. But the way I know you and Baba, if he hears it from you, someone who is in that cabinet and who is from Mount Kenya, he will change his mind. So I called my travel agent. I booked a ticket. Yeah, I booked a ticket. I called Baba. I said, Baba, I'm coming tomorrow. That was Monday, Tuesday. Baba told me, comes. You know where to go. You know when Baba was in Dubai, so we used to travel to Dubai a lot together and have a lot of discussion. So you know where to find me. Then on Tuesday, Baba calls me. Tells me, no, Moses, don't come because I'm coming today. He did come on the Tuesday because the airport was closed by the Adani demonstrations. You remember the Adani? Yes. I'm coming tomorrow. So when he came, even before I met him, he called me. He told me, I know what you want to tell me, but don't worry. You don't have to look for me. I know what you want. And that's how the following days when Akina Wandai were named to cabinet and the ODM people. Now, you have asked a question about that broad-based. Again, I compare it to that Singapore story. And there are 2 stories there in that coalition. There is up there for the leaders, and there is, of course, leaders are divided. But also there's the grassroots, the street, the ODM street. So for me right now, the ODM street is 50-50. Street is 50-50. The leaders overwhelmingly are pro-broad-based, but the ground is 50-50. And a lot of dynamics will be there. in 2026. And what happens to it is, as I've said, it is all in the hands of one Gachagua, because there are some people who may not be very comfortable with broad-based, even within the broad-based strongholds. But when they draw the eye the other side and they find Rigathi Gachagua driving, calling the shots there, then that changes the whole dynamics. So let us watch. It's gonna be noisy, yeah. I don't want to say it's gonna be messy, yeah, but there'll be casualties. There'll be casualties within the broad-based. Will the center hold? So many balls are up there in the air. We have got a party position. We also have communities. You see a lot of communities trying to make up their individual position, and you can see it. The biggest anxiety within ODM is coming from who? Osotsi, Sifuna,
Western region,
Amisi, Western region. You know, and ultimately it will be a game of the Western region. It will be a game of Western. So we are watching. We are watching on what happens here.
Is it likely to affect the position of Professor Kithure Kindiki now that some of the leaders?
Certainly. This is real politics. Do you want the truth or the cousin of the truth?
The truth.
Certainly. Certainly there's going to be casualties.
And he is likely to be one of the casualties?
Yes. Certainly. Because even you, I mean, politics is like investment. You invest based on what? ROI, return on investment. So where is ROI? I mean, we can be cosmetic and we can be academic about it, but I think from where I sit, I could be wrong. It's my opinion. The president will make decision based on his investment, on his ROI, on where he perceives he's going to get higher value. Yeah.
And that could mean picking somebody other than Professor Kithure Kindiki.
It depends on also the constitution. You see the discussion we have started with Musalia Mudavadi. We need to broaden this thing. Maybe that time now, you can be able to shuffle things there. So, and both sides need it. Both sides need, unless we want to divide and polarize this country, united opposition, broad-based government, we need that constitution. Me, I want to hear the united opposition say no. I'm waiting. The same way we were misread and we said no to BBI, and now we suffer for it. I want to hear now people again, especially from my region, say no to changing the constitution, because we will suffer for it. At a time when our leverage is gone, our bargaining power is gone, the rest of the country can sit down, form a government without us, and now we don't want, to broaden the executive, at least so to entrench our interest within that formation. I'm really waiting to hear opposition to the constitution coming from my region. It will be a sad day, but I'll just grab some popcorn.
Now, let's wrap up.
Yep.
And you are known for blunt political style. And others say you're fearless, others say you're reckless. In 2027, what will Moses Kuria be? Will he be a kingmaker,
I don't know.
Candidate, or a critic?
I don't know. You have, Jeff, for the last, let's say, mostly since I joined cabinet, I abandoned my old style brand of politics. So nowadays, I am old, my friend. I am old. I am slow to action. I observe things. I consult a lot. I take advice. Let me not blow by a trumpet. I'm wiser. I can't remember the last time I insulted someone. I think I exhausted my insults. It comes with age and time. And I think I have a pivotal role to play within my community and my nation, my country. So whatever I do will be nothing to do with my interest, honestly speaking, because I think I've been fortunate enough.